Welcome back. It looks like Behavior has released another developer update today, August 23rd. This is about a week before the 6.2 update. I believe it's chapter 24 for Project W Resident Evil, aka the Wesker update. Now, they have made some changes from the PTB, which should be coming out during live, and we're going to go over that for you because we know all of you hate reading, so we're going to go ahead and do it for you. Now, if you like the video, make sure you like it. If you don't like it, don't like it, and let me know down below what your favorite change is, or which change you hate the most, I guess. And if you want to see more of this great content, make sure you go ahead and hit that sub button. Now, developer update August 23rd, 2022. We're back with another developer update, a series of posts detailing all the changes coming to Dead by Daylight. In addition, we'll cover the balance changes from the 6.2.0 public test build and other various tweaks. Bloodweb costs. Last month, we overhauled our progression system to make it easier than ever to earn perks. Under this new system, perks are now unlocked through prestige and are immediately available to use on other characters without needing to be found in the Bloodweb. Higher tier versions of their perks can be earned with subsequent prestiges or randomly throughout the Bloodweb. Alongside these changes, we removed the blood point bonuses from two perks, Barbecue and Chili and We're Gonna Live Forever. As some of you have rightly pointed out, without these bonuses, you could afford fewer Bloodweb nodes per match, making it harder to earn items, add-ons, and offerings than before. We want to remedy this as soon as possible. With the release of the Resident Evil Project W chapter, we are reducing the cost of nodes in the Bloodweb by roughly 33%. And with the chart, we have event and commons used to be 3K, now they're going to be 2K, so down by 1,000. Yellow uncommons were 4K, down 1,500 to 2.5. Rares were 5K, now they're down 1.75 to 3,250. Very rare was 6K and ultra rare was 7K. Those are both going down 2,000 to 4 and 5,000 respectively. So it's actually going to be pretty cheap, or relatively cheaper, yeah. You may be wondering, why not increase the blood points earned instead? This is a good question and one we took into consideration. First, a 33% reduction in Bloodweb cost is effectively the same as increased blood point earnings by 50% across the board. For example, 30,000 blood points can be exchanged for 15 common nodes when priced at 2,000 blood points each. At 3,000 blood points, you would need 45,000 blood points to get the same number of nodes. Second, the reduction makes all blood points more valuable, not just those from matches. This means that even your daily rituals and archive challenges have more purchasing power than before. Ultimately, we found that reducing Bloodweb costs was the fairest option and provides the best value. So once the new chapter comes out, we'll have to see how this feels, but hey, lower blood points costs plus the same amount of blood points that we get, and they increase the cap, like, it's not that big, it's not that bad. Camping and tunneling. In this past mid-chapter, we added 5-second endurance and haste effects to all unhooked survivors. These status effects were designed to give the unhooked survivor a fighting chance by allowing them to get to a nearby pallet or window if the killer decides to chase them again. We released this feature with safe numbers to ensure that things don't get out of hand. Now that we've had some time to see how they play out, we feel comfortable increasing them further. In 6.2.0, we will be increasing the duration of the haste and endurance effects to 10 seconds. Additionally, we will be increasing the haste effect to 10% increase speed, up from 7. Now, this will still stack from if you use borrowed time, of course, and that'll add an extra 10 seconds, which is going to be nuts, and still works during the endgame. We hope you'll find these improvements to be much more effective in discouraging the killer from chasing the same survivor immediately after they're unhooked. Now, it says camping and tunneling. This won't affect camping. This will, of course, affect tunneling, but the new perk coming out should help with camping. Medal of Man. In a recent update, we released a new version of Medal Man, which worked consistently with other endurance effects. Many of you voiced concerns with this version of the perk being weaker than before, favoring a harder to earn effect that couldn't be lost. Our intention with this change was never to make the perk weaker. Therefore, alongside the chapter release, we will be reverting the recent update of Medal Man. Metal Man will instead grant a unique protection effect that is not cancelled by the conspicuous actions like Endurance. To help differentiate them, this perk will no longer cause the Endurance status effect to appear in the HUD when activated. I wonder when they're going to fix the animation for Dead Hard, because right now it's still silly. Post PTB changes. The halls of the Raccoon City Police Station were packed in this PTB. Whether you were hurling survivors at literal breakneck speeds or being hurled, we want to thank you for taking the time to leave your feedback. We'll be making a few changes in the time for release. As always, these changes are by no means final. We'll continue to monitor how everything performs and reassess once the dust has settled. We'll start with the mastermind himself, Albert Wesker. One thing we noticed during the PTB was that the collision detection on the mastermind rush was a little too sensitive, causing the killer to bump into objects they shouldn't have. For the release, we've toned this down and you don't accidentally bump into obstacles as often. So he's getting the blight treatment. I don't know how many of you remember blight on PTB and a little bit after release. He had major hit detection issues, so it looks like he's getting blight treatment. We also polished the way Virulent Bond interacts with pallets and windows. During the PTB, survivors would not take damage if the mastermind bounded towards them as they were vaulting. This was not intentional. The mastermind will now hit them with his tentacle if they're caught in the middle of a vault. Additionally, survivors could wait on the other side of the pallet, vaulting back over before the mastermind could attack after vaulting. Going forward, standing too close to a vault location as the mastermind bounds over it will result in the survivor being injured, so no more camping the other side of the pallet and then just vaulting right back. Next, we've revisited his power in loops. We found his base movement speed between bounds to be a little slow, making it difficult to get into position for another bound. For the release, we have increased the mastermind's movement speed between bounds to 2.76 meters per second, up from 2.3, the speed previously achieved by using the loose crank add-on. Since this add-on has been added to the base kit, we have reduced his movement speed bonus to 8% from 20% to compensate for the new total of 2.98 meters. So he's moving at almost 3 meters per second in between bounds. That's actually not terrible. Again, he's getting the blight treatment. They used one of his add-ons and made a base kit. For those who don't know, blight used to not be able to break pallets without an add-on, which Wesker can't do right now. He can only break pallets with his ability with the ultra rare add-on. Yeah. One of the quirks of Virulent Bond is its ability to throw survivors at each other, injuring both survivors in the process. Oftentimes, those unfortunate enough to have their friends flung at them would not even realize they'd been injured. Yeah, the first time I did that, I wasn't quite sure exactly what happened. To make this more obvious, being injured from healthy from a survivor thrown by the mastermind will now cause deep wounds. Well, that's actually interesting, because that's actually going to negate other deep wound effects like Off the Record and Dead Hard. Last but not least, we've slightly toned down the survivor collision detection of the mastermind's bound. We found this to be a little too generous on the PTB, allowing the killer to grab survivors that were not in front of him. This change will require a little more precision on the killer's part and make Virulent Bond feel fairer to survivors. I mean, that's fair. His hitbox was pretty huge. On to the perks. We've made a few tweaks to the new perks following the PTB. As always, we'll continue to fine-tune each of them as necessary once the update goes live. Reassurance. This perk allows you to pause the hook progression of another survivor, buying you and your team more time to work on generators if the killer is camping. On the PTB, Reassurance had a 40-second cooldown and could be used repeatedly. Yeah, it was nuts. When coordinated with other survivors, this could have been abused to keep the hook survivor permanently on the hook, preventing them from being sacrificed against their will. For the release, we have removed the cooldown of Reassurance, so now there's no 40-second cooldown. Instead, Reassurance can only be used once per hook instance. Okay, that's pretty cool. The effects of this perk can still be chained together if multiple survivors are running Reassurance for a maximum delay of 90 seconds. This will keep the perk's effects potent without being abusable. Alright, so it'll make each hook state at maximum 2.5 minutes. instead of 1 minute. Okay, we'll see how that plays out. Awakened Awareness. This perk grants the killer aura reading while they are carrying a survivor. On the PTB, this effect also lingered for 2 seconds after the carried survivor is dropped, hooked, or wiggled free. This effect could be a little oppressive on certain killers, like the nurse, especially when paired with Lethal Pursuer to extend the aura reading effect, and Starstruck to make them exposed. Yeah, like the nurse. For the release, we've removed the lingering aura reading from Awakened Awareness. As a result, Lethal Pursuer will no longer extend the duration of Awakened Awareness's aura reading. For those who don't know, Lethal Pursuer will add 2 seconds to any aura reading that has time. So since they are removing the time on Awakened Awareness, it won't extend that anymore. I like that. That's pretty nice. Low Profile. Low Profile hides your scratch marks and pools of blood when you become the last survivor for 70, 80, or 90 seconds. Unfortunately, this meant the perk would only activate once per match, and only if you happen to be the last survivor standing. True, it was pretty useless. For the release, we have changed this to include any time you are the only survivor who is not dying, hooked, or dead as well. So you have to be injured. Dying, hooked, or dead. So it'll only work if everyone is either in the dying state, on the hook state, or dead, and you're injured, allowing it to activate throughout the match. Okay. Additionally, Low Profile will also mask your Grunt of Pain in addition to its existing effects. I still don't see it being used a lot, other than, of course, for Adepts, but we'll see. Maybe somebody is gonna find some crazy value with it. Better Than New. This perk granted any survivor you healed a 6% action speed bonus to repairing, healing, chest opening, and totem cleansing for 25, 30, 35 seconds. We found the duration of this perk to be a little low to make much use out of the bonus speed. I got almost no use out of it. For release, we've made a few changes to this perk. Better Than New now grants 12, 14, or 16% action speed bonus. Holy cow. To healing, chest opening, and totem cleansing and blessing. Better Than New no longer has a duration. Survivors instead keep this bonus until the next time they are damaged. All right, that's a huge change. All right, so healing builds, survivors already have massive healing buffs. So yeah, if you're running a healing build, throw on Better Than New and just run around to your teammates and top them off. Holy cow. That might be some crazy stuff. We'll see how that goes. We hope this will make it easier. Yeah, you're going to get value out of Better Than New. Finally, we come to the Raccoon City Police Station. In this chapter, the map has been split into two, the East Wing and the West Wing. Each map includes the main hall and a small section of the opposite wing, greatly reducing its size compared to the original. We've also opened new pathways between various rooms to make the maps easier to navigate, as well as widening some hallways to make the make feel less claustrophobic and allow more interesting gameplay. In the PTB, we found that there were too many pallets scattered around the Raccoon City Police Station now that the size has been reduced. Yeah, like on the 2 main staircases. We've reduced the number of pallets on the newly renovated maps for when the chapter releases. Okay, so they've reduced the number of pallets, so I really hope that they're not going to have the 2 god pallets on the main staircase. We'll see how that changes, but hey, any reduction in pallets is good, especially the 2 in the library. That was nuts. With that, we've reached the end of this edition of the developer update. Everything we covered today will appear in alongside the release of Dead by Daylight Resident Evil Project W chapter in the coming weeks. Next week, let's be honest. As always, we look forward to hearing what you think once you have had a chance to try out the changes. Until next time, the DBD team. So yeah, that is the new developer update for what is expected to come in the 6.2.0 chapter release, Project W. Once again, let me know down below if you love it, hate it. I'm looking forward to these changes. This is actually a pretty good update, and this is something that Behavior doesn't do that often. Good update. So hopefully it plays out as good as it reads on paper. I'm really looking forward to trying out Wesker. It sounds like he's getting a pretty decent buff. Some people may say that it's going to be a nerf because of the lowered hitboxes with the bound. But yeah, again, we'll see how it plays out. I know I'm going to be playing him when he comes out. And yeah, having to deal with reassurance. But until next time, if no one told you yet, we love you all very much, and remember to please stay safe out there in the fog.